Hey, this is Savage Survival. I'm going to show you guys how to make pine bark containers. The best thing you want to use is eastern white pine, usually around early springtime. You kind of want a young tree like this with the smooth bark. The older white pines, their bark is kind of hard and it's impossible to really make a good bark container out of it. So first thing I want to do is just kind of look for a good spot to make the container. On this one I have two blemishes on the bark, but we'll see. I'll just cut it here and here. The best place to cut it is between these, where the branches come out. This represents a year of growth, so there's one here and then there's another one down this way, so that's the best place to cut it. If you look here, I already cut a good chunk for another container. So yeah, I'm just going to start cutting. I'm going to look for a good place. I'd probably want to start above this because this is just a hole in the bark, so that's not going to be good. So I'm just going to dig my knife in and just kind of do that. I like to do this method, but other people, you know, they just take their knife and drag it through, kind of like that. But I think this way you have a little bit more control. I'm just going to slice right around that, nice and deep. You can't go too deep because then you're just cutting into the wood, which is a good thing because you just want to be able to peel the bark right off. So there's that one. And then I'm going to make another ring at the top. Remember, the best time to do this is early spring, because then the bark is all nice and loose on the wood and it peels right off. Alright, so now I have my two rings. So now I'm going to slice another one joining the two rings, and because I have the slit right here, I'm going to do it right down that. So now, if you look, I'm just going to cut it right by that. Oops. That's okay. And then I can kind of just dig my knife in a little bit and just kind of pop some of that up. Just like that. And you can see how easy this peels off. It just comes right off. It's best not to use a knife to do this. It's good to use your fingers. Your fingers are going to get a little sticky, but it's good. So if you look, I'm just kind of digging my finger in. I can go like that. Nice and easy. You don't want to get too excited. You know, you can kind of pull it off if it comes off that easily. See? So there is kind of a nice piece of bark. It's very, very pliable. This is also good for shingles on a shelter. We cut this tree down, so we only killed one tree to be able to get many containers. We got maybe about 15 containers out of this tree. If you're in a survival situation, if you cut this off the tree, it's probably going to kill it because you're completely stripping the bark around the tree, so it's not going to live after that. So it's best to use a dead tree already that you already cut down, because you don't want to go around the forest just killing trees just to make yourself a container. Unless you're in a survival situation, then that's different. So now, I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to take some of the green branches and cut little things off like this, and I'm going to make 4 clothespins. And the way I do that is I just take this small stick, live branches work best, and then I'm just going to take some of the bark. I have some bark here, and then I can just strip off some of that, kind of just like cordage, and then I'm going to tie a clove hitch, and then just put that right on top, right through my wood there. And now I just have a simple knot, and now I'm just going to take my knife, and then I'm going to just split the wood. And if it's live, it's really easy to do. It's just a little bit of pressure, and as you can see, I'm just splitting the wood, And the reason why I tied that bark on there is so when the split gets down, it'll stop at this tie. So, and if you don't do that, it might just split the whole piece of wood. And you obviously don't want that. So there's my clothespin, very simple to make. I already have 3 made here. So now I have 4 for each corner. So now what I'm going to do with the bark is I'm going to kind of just fold the bark a little bit. I'm not going to pinch the ends like you do a piece of paper when you fold it, but I'm going to pinch more out here as opposed to out in here. So I'm going to fold that, and then fold that. This is just to kind of train the bark to fold the way you want it to. So now I'm going to look at the grain of the bark. And the grain of the wood was going this way as opposed to this way. So this is the way that it's going to split. So if I, put a hole in this and pull it, it's going to split this way. So what I want to do, if I want to keep this container waterproof, is when I fold my corner, I want to fold it in the way that my bark will not split. If it won't split up and down, creating a hole split, but if it splits, it'll split sideways. So I want to put my corner at that place on that side. So if you look, as opposed, there's that, which is the right way, and this. And if it splits, it'll just split right down, and we do not want that. So we have that right there. So we're just going to put a clothespin right on that. And then I'm going to make it on this corner. Just got to find the split here. These are kind of quicky clothespins. They're kind of not the best, but they work. And I'm going to fold this corner. And again with the grain, so if it splits, it'll split sideways as opposed to up and down. I'm going to put that clothespin right on there. I'm going to fold this, the last corner, put that there. These clothespins are kind of hard to keep open, but bear with me. There, so that's kind of a crappy container, but it's just a quickie one I made for you guys. This is waterproof until it has a hole in it. So you can take rocks, heat them up in the fire. You can drop rocks in there to boil the water. Or you can put this right on top of coals, but it's not going to last too long if you do that. This will take probably about 2 days to dry. And then it's a little bit more brittle. Right now it's still really movable and pliable, but after it dries it'll stay in one spot. So that's kind of a nice little smaller container. I don't know, I'd say maybe a half a liter could be held in that. Yeah, so then after it dries, you could take the clothespins off if you kind of want to give this more of a smaller profile, make it look a little cuter. You could just, after this dries, you could take a hand drill stock and like a really skinny one and kind of burn a hole right in there, and then you can tie some bark in there, or just some cordage that you made, or whatever rope you want, or some rootlets. So that is the pine bark container. Thank you for watching.